Hey, welcome back, knife nerds and everyday care people. It's your boy Big Canucker here, and I've got myself a little bit of a sharpening video happening here. I would like to sharpen my Spyderco Chubby, Birch Chubby, made by Michael Birch. It is a great little knife, and I kind of put it on the KME before, and I put a decent edge on it, but I like to really lay back my edges to around 15 degrees. No, actually, you know what? I like to around 17 degrees most of the time. That's a real good cutting. It stays strong, but I think that this Birch Chubby here, with a short little stubby blade and how thick it can be, I think laying back that edge to 15 degrees will give it a really nice mirror polished bevel, and I think it's gonna make it look absolutely fantastic. So I've set my system up here already. You'll probably have got that little bit of fast forward here. I will try to add it. This is my first video shooting a sharpening video, so I'm gonna fool around with some things, some ideas, see how I can make it where I show you the most I possibly can. The setup I will probably fast forward through just because it's kind of a little bit boring. Use my Capri angle cube to set my angle, because there is some markings here on the KME system, but if you know anything about trigonometry, you've got the angle, the hypotenuse, and I don't know, I'm just bullshitting you. It's awfully hard to read the angles on here and it actually turn into a real knife edge. So if you're going to want to do a specific angle, I say invest in a little cube. And what you'll want to do is you'll want to zero it out too as well. So what I end up doing is I use this little piece of metal that I got, and I just simply, if you can see here, I place it there, and it just gives me the idea, and then I stick my angle cube to it, and then I zero out my angle cube so it's zero. I place it on here, and then I do my adjustments up and forth. Once I've got it on 15 degrees, I'll pull it off, and I'll make sure my base is still at zero, and that way I've totally zeroed it off. Hope you can see that. So now, the other thing that I'm using, and I will perhaps, if I can scroll down here and show you, is I've got my base here, my custom made base that some friends of mine made, and I've also got just a clamp to clamp it down to the table so it doesn't move. And I'm not sure you can see here, there's just simply a clip on the end. It's kind of a little stop so I don't run over. I hate running over here where you're coming off and you're hitting the edge of your knife with the edge of the stone. I don't like that at all. So let's just put that back here for now, and then we'll see what we can do here. So that just kind of gives you an idea of that. So now what I'm using is my Gritomatic stone holder, which is a universal stone holder, and I'm using some aftermarket inexpensive diamond Edge Pro clone type of stones. This is a 240 grit, and I've probably done 30 or 40 knives on this, and it was $20 for 3 stones, and they have lasted me a long time. Now they're not super aggressive. I know you've got the Beast and you've got the KME stones here, which I have. I don't know, sometimes today I just felt like using these Edge Pro clone stones and rather than the KME stones. So I'm going to go down to 15 degrees. I've taped off the handle. Lots of times I'll tape off the blade too as well. In this particular instance, I'm not going to, because it sets inside the holder really weird, this little Birch Chubby. There's not a lot of flat to hold on to. And I think adding tape just makes it a little bit wiggly. And plus it's my own knife, and if I scratch a little bit, so be it. It's my own fault. But I am going to just not tape up the blade this time. Sometimes I do, lots of times, most times I do. So I don't necessarily have to color in this bevel because I'm not trying to match, but I like to do it because it lets me know when I'm hitting the apex anyways. So I have done that. So what I'm going to do is pause this for a second, and try to set this up. I'm going to grab my regular phone because I want to also throw in some close-ups on this video, but I'm going to use my other phone. All right. Okay, now we've got the angle set up, and so what I'm going to do here is going to start kind of working the edge here, and she's probably going to take a little bit of time. Now, I like to brace the edge of the knife here with my thumb a little bit. Some people will try to maybe grab a hold of their knife, but I'm just not very good left-handed using this KME, so I like to kind of brace my knife edge just a little bit. It prevents it from kind of turning, and it starts, you get kind of a wavy angle. I don't really like that, so I am going to just give this a little bit of a turn, or a little bit of a and you can hear that she's cutting some steel. So, alright, I probably am going to fast forward through some of these parts. So what I'm trying to do is reprofile this down to about 15 degrees. And yeah, so I'm going to keep on using my other phone here to just take some close-ups. We're trying this out. Working on this for, not very long, for maybe 5 minutes or so. And already I'm starting to wear off most of the black marker. Now, a lot of people I know, they'll do so many passes on each side, then they'll flip it over, do so many passes. I think once you've, I don't know about, I'm sure it works. In certain ways. I like to just go until I've got a burr. That's where I kind of do mine. And the other thing here I forgot to mention is one of my important tools is I got a great big magnifying glass, and it's got a little bit of an LED light built in it. So you can see here, and so I use it to just kind of look. It shines on the blade. I've got bad eyes, so it'll show me up close. A lot of people use a jeweler's loupe. This is just easier for me. And so, yeah, it just allows me to see what I'm doing to this edge, and I'll see if I can get you a close-up of what that looks like. All right, I'm going to continue on here with this. All right, so I've been working at this side of the knife for probably, I'm going to say maybe 15 minutes or so. It's taken me a little bit of time to reprofile. So what I'm looking for is to get a wire edge. So I want to make sure that I hit the apex. So now a lot of you knife guys, you know what you're looking for. You know that you're looking what the apex is. But in this particular case, I'm going to kind of explain what the apex is. So what I've ended up doing is I've ground down enough now on the one side where the edge is kind of floppy over top. So what you want to do now is you want to flip it over and grind away, so that edge now goes back and forth, right? So as you hit your two stones, and then you know that you're hitting the apex. So you've ground away till the edge is like that. So now you can tell by just running your finger under the bottom. Some people will take their fingernail. If you kind of pull, that you can feel it's just like a little lip there, just a little sharp lip. Sometimes you can tell by just using the pads of your hands. Other times you can grab like a little Q-tip and kind of take the cotton and spread it out a little bit so they're fibers. You drag it across this way, and you'll see if it's a wire edge, that wire edge will grab a hold of those fibers. So that's just to let you know that you've hit your apex now, and it's time to flip over. And so flip over, and now I'll hold the knife here, and what I'll do is I will get rid of all the black marker that I've put on the edge here. I'll get rid of all of that, and then I'll make sure that I hit the wire edge again with this coarse, and then I'll start using the finer, progressively finer stones until I have the edge as sharp and as shiny as I want it to be. All right, so I will see you back in a little bit.
Here we have just finished the 600 grit, and you can see that little bit of white on the end. That seems to be the wire edge. So just to give you an idea, that's what the wire edge will look like if you want to look at it. All right, gonna keep on going, and I will give you, once I'm done the 1500, I will give you a view of that too as well, folks.
Now, normally, I'm watching a movie or a YouTube video while I'm doing this. You know, I know some people call this relaxing, and, you know, some days it can be. Other days it's tedious. Sometimes I just want to veg and sharpen a knife. But for me, what I like about sharpening is I like the end result. That's my big thing. I like the shiny edge. I like it to be damn sharp hair whittling. That's my fun thing about knives, about sharpening knives. And I can kick back and watch some YouTube videos, catch up on my YouTube videos and learn some stuff, or even watch a movie. All right, so I'm going to just keep on going here until I hit the apex on the other side, and then I will be back at you when I've got a few more stones down the road. I've been working on this other side here, and I've got the burr done up the entire edge, and so what we're going to do is we're going to switch our stones. So I'm not sure if I showed you, one of the other things that I have in my little sharpening kit is I always have a microfiber cloth. I like to sharpen my my diamond stones dry. Sometimes I think it's sharpener's preference. Some people will tell you that you should always have a little bit of liquid on there to carry the, you know, the steel away. I find that these diamond stones seem to shed that steel quite a bit, and most of my steel ends up on the ends of my blades, and it's almost like they get a little bit magnetized. And for the most part, I can just kind of wipe them away, and it cleans off the edge. And then I like to make sure that that's kind of wiped off too as well. I just find that using water or oil just makes a little bit more of a mess. And it's just one more thing to do, one more thing to clean up. So now I did kind of tip the tip of my finger here, just reaching. So you'll want to be extra careful, because by now you've got the apex on both sides, and she's pretty damn sharp. So reaching for something, she will give you a little bit of a nick. So now what I'm going to be moving to is I'm going to be moving from the 240 grit diamond stone to a 600 grit stone. And there, all I'm going to be doing now is trying to get rid of the scratch pattern that I put in there with the 240 grit. And I want to put in now a 600 grit scratch pattern. Now, this is where you're really going to want to do lots of due diligence with these two stones, the 600 and the 1500, because when you're trying to get a polished edge on your knife, you'll find that if you haven't done enough to get rid of those deep scratches, you'll find that the stropping and the diamond spray, the higher, you know, the 2, 3, 4, 5, 10,000 grit stones, they will magnify those scratches quite a bit more. So you're ending up with a really mirror polished edge with deep scratches in it. So you want to spend that extra bit of time getting rid of your scratch pattern. Some people, what they'll do is they'll basically go the opposite way, because most of the time when I'm using this, I'm going to be going this way. Sorry, so, you know, I'll be going this way. So now with this particular one, maybe you'll want to go this way. So that's some of the tricks some people use. Other times people, they of course do the marker again to make sure they've got the entire bevel done. I I don't know. I just keep on looking at it with my magnifying glass, and it shows me that I've got some deep, I've got some deep scratches here, and they will come out with my 600 grit, and then of course I've got my 1500 grit in here, which will happen right after this. So we'll see you down the road here with after a few more stones, and yeah, we'll get to the end of this sharpening video, and we'll have some fun. All right, guys, thanks very much. I'm just finishing up the 1500 grit diamond stone, and now then what I'm going to use after that is I'm going to use this is a 1500 grit stone that came with the Ruxin Edge Pro kind of clone system. The stones on there are crap, but this one here is actually not too bad. And now what I end up doing is, for the most part with all these diamond stones, I actually use them dry. But for my final couple of stones, this one included, I put a little bit of water on there. It makes a little bit of a paste, and it seemed to just kind of give that edge, any of those kind of scratches that are in there. Now, lots of times you'll see here, I've got, it's quite a bit black here on here. And I could keep on going forever and forever and ever and ever and ever with this 1500 grit and get rid of a lot of those deep scratches. But I find that if I use this other stone with a paste, it softens them scratches up quite a bit. It takes them out quite a bit nicer than using this. So I'm going to use the water on that. So once I've I'm going to do just kind of a close-up, and you can see how much is coming off this this knife blade here on this 1500 grit stone. I'm just going to give you a close-up of that just to show you. And then I'm going to move on to my 1500 grit stone to put a little bit of a slurry, and then from there I will use a little bit of water, and I've got a 1000 grit and a 2500 grit, and what they are is they're actually a super fine wet dry sandpaper, and they're called Superflex, and they're really great for knife blades. They put a real polished mirror edge on there, and then I don't know if I'll go past that. I might decide to go with I do have another stone here with some diamond film on it, but I need to get the rest of my diamond films done up, and I will do a knife blade. I'll do a sharpening one time where I use absolutely every diamond film right up to 100,000 grit, and I'll show you what that looks like. But this time, this is just my little Birch Chub, my Spyderco Michael Birch Chubby, and it's just a neat little blade that I like to keep nice and sharp, but I don't necessarily have to have the wickedest mirror polish on. So, all right, that is that. We'll continue on, and once I'm on the 1000 and the 1500 grit over here, I will jump back on for a bit, and we'll finish up with a little bit of stropping, and we'll look at the final edge. All right, thanks very much. Putting a little bit of water on this stone. It's kind of seems to be a splash and go stone. It's not anything that's super expensive. It's just a stone that creates a little bit of a slurry, and it just helps wear away those kind of fine scratches. I don't think it's like super expensive. It came with the whole. I think the whole Edge Pro Clone Sharpener thing was about $35, and that came with 4 stones, and then the sharpener itself, and the rod, and all that other kind of stuff. I just decided that I wanted something that clamped in. It just allowed me to have a little bit more patience with the system, because you gotta have fun while you're doing it. And I just didn't like holding the knife there. I know there's some people out there who love it. It's just to each his own, right? Like if we all like the same thing, we'd all be driving the same thing, and we'd all be wearing the same thing, we'd all be cheering for the same teams. that's why we've got different opinions. You know, they're like, you know, buttholes. Everyone has one. So, yeah. All right. So, you can see that it's squeaking, and you can see that it's starting to take the steel off and make a little bit of a slurry. And I'm going to continue on with this edge, and once I'm past this, I'm going to move on to the 1000 grit, and then I'll jump back on when I'm at the 2500 grit, and we'll have a look at the edge and what she's like. So now we're at the 2500 grit strop, and that's kind of what I kind of use this for, is a little bit of a strop. I'm trying to get rid of that wire edge using these strops, and also kind of polish the edge. Now, this stuff here, it's not indestructible. As you can see, it's starting to wear a little bit here. I think each one of these will maybe last about 10 knives before they start to kind of fill up, lose their grit. This one here, it's right on the end of its lifetime, and you only want to go one way too when you're dealing with these little stropping papers. You only want to go one way, because you go into your blade, you're gonna slice it, you're gonna cut it, and it's gonna be done. So it's just a downward stroke only. And so what I'll end up doing is I will kind of go through this. I'm going to say most of the time what I do is I'll do kind of 5 passes over the entire blade, and then I'll flip it over, right? And then I'll do 5 on this side. And your water's going to last you a little bit of a long time. It's going to get a little bit discolored because it is loading up a little bit with steel. And you can see that if you've got a white paper towel and you wipe this water off, you'll see that it's discolored. So it is working. It is taking the steel off in just a minute amount, though, just very, very small amounts, enough that you're polishing without removing a lot of metal. So one of the rules of sharpening is never ever think that your stropping or your fine downward stroke stones are going to be able to fix any of your mistakes. So if you didn't apex properly, don't expect that you're going to apex with a strop. Or if you've got scratches, deep scratches that you haven't completely removed with your middle grits, don't expect that you're going to be able to polish them out or strop them out. You're just going to magnify them. So that's what I'm doing there. So, and now when I've got to this point, I've taken the wire edge, and it's not really traveling back and forth anymore. It's not, it's kind of being pulled off, but it's also kind of straightening out. So sometimes what I'll end up doing is I'll take this knife and I'll just take my a super fine stone, and I'll just give it ever so slightly, just a hand pass on my super fine ceramic Spyderco. Sometimes that'll pull the wire edge right off. Other times I'll take the knife blade and I'll pull it through a piece of wood or cork, and that'll pull it off too as well. The other time I'll just sit there and I'll strop on some leather strops using diamond spray, and that'll actually remove the wire edge too as well. So there's some options on removing the wire edge for you there too as well. But if you don't remove that wire edge, you'll have a wickedly sharp blade for a little bit until you go to cut something with substance, and then that wire edge bends over and it dulls right away. And you're like, what the heck? I cut one thing in here. Why is it dull? Well, that's because your wire edge is bent over. So you'll need to pull that wire edge off. All right. So, okay. So I'm going to continue this on here a little bit. I'm going to have a look and see what this edge looks like with my magnifying glass. If I'm satisfied, I'm going to take it all apart, and then we'll do a little bit of stropping, and then we'll show you the edge completely. All right.
All right. I'm not sure you can see that, but she's pretty damn straight. Now, when you really shine a light on this edge here, you can see that there is some very fine scratches. I didn't go long enough with probably my 1500 diamond stone that would have got rid of some of that, but it is still pretty shiny and is damn sharp, and it is really hair whittling. And I mean, I'm just kind of doing this just mostly for the video rather than I want to do a good job, and it is a good job, but I mean, I could have spent more time with the 1500 strop to get rid of those fine scratches that are still there a little bit. So that's just my own fault, and hey, I will take it. But all right, let's we'll pull this off here, and we will have a look at some stuff.
This edge is looking fantastic. Kind of taking everything now apart, taking it down. I like to make sure that everything is nice and put away properly in its own individual spot. That way, I know nothing is going to happen to it. It's not going to get broken, and it is not going to cut myself. So, yeah, oh my goodness. She's a lovely edge. Oh, sharp, sharp. But I will get to that in a bit here, and we will see. I will do a little bit of a close-up with that, and after I do a little bit of stropping, and then I will take it from there. I will show you the final edge, and I hope you had some fun, because I did. And I'm actually just going to do a little bit of stropping on here using my Knives Plus strop block. Love this thing. You know, she turned out all right. I think this is a wicked little blade. I love the feel of it. It is one of my favorite flicking knives, and it is one of the knives that I like to take, and I use this knife quite a bit for gentleman's carry. You know, it's very capable. You know, it's not big monstrous, so you're not going to be using it. You're not going to be scaring the hell out of a whole bunch of people if you take it out at a party. You know what I mean there? And I think it looks great too as well. It's just a great little knife. It feels good in my hand. It's got great ergonomics. It cuts like a banshee with that hollow grind on it. And it's going to look even better with this mirror polished edge on it. And she's whittling, folks. She is a whittling edge. So I'm going to show you here what she's like. You can see that she's got kind of the mirror edge all the way through it. I'll do a couple of close-ups on there before I finish up, and I just want to, let me move this up. We'll say goodbye. We'll do a close-up, and then thanks very much. Oops, you can see I dropped a little bit on this drop. We gave it a little bit of a cut. She's damn sharp, folks. All right. Welcome back for the final time. We're going to be saying goodbye on this, my inaugural sharpening video. Hope you enjoyed yourself. She was a little bit of a treat for me too as well. I appreciate it. Now I'm not going to get away without doing some sort of cut test on this. And so of course we'll do the obligatory cut test on the computer paper, and boy, she's sharp. There, I don't know how much more sharp you want, but she'll put those little tiny curls on there, just like nothing. And I guess, you know, a knife is really sharp when it'll put those little curls. Also, when it gives you the little S curls, no problem. So, Spyderco Birch Chubby KME sharpener with some of my own modifications on there. Hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give me a like, thumbs up, and a subscribe. Appreciate it so much for helping me spread my voice. Hope you had a little bit of fun here. Please take care out there, especially in the time of the COVID-19 virus. Please look after your family, look after yourself. Listen to the experts. Keep your stick on the ice, the shiny side up. This is the Big Canucker saying adios.